What's up guys, it's Linus here, and as somebody who wears glasses, my glasses look nothing like this. Which is why it made me so sad that every time I would look up a tutorial on how to make LPS glasses, they all look like this. I felt very underrepresented and outcasted, and so I did a thing. I made this pair of glasses all on my own to look more like my real life glasses. So today, I'm going to be showing you how to make a pair of glasses just like this one, and also, just for fun, I'll show you how to make some sunglasses. If you end up making some glasses like these, please take pictures and post them on your YouTube community or on your Tumblr and tag me in them because I would really love to see that. Without further ado, let's start with the normal pair of glasses. Here are the supplies you'll need if you want to just make basic frames for your glasses. Here's the supplies you'll need if you want to add lenses, and here's the supplies you'll need if you want to decorate your glasses. So I've got a paper clip here that is approximately 10 centimeters long, which is approximately 4¼ inches. You can use a stretched out paper clip like I am, or you can use wire. So first you're gonna want to find the very middle of your wire. It's alright if you're not 100% accurate. You're gonna want to clamp your pliers down in that center, and then you're going to want to bend and bend. Oh my god, that's almost, like, perfect. So now you have two legs, is what I'm gonna call them. This shape kind of looks like a rectangle, but without a top, or without a bottom, whichever way you want to look at it. Next, if the legs are facing up, then you're gonna want to put your, pliers on top of this, like, ledge piece here, kind of, and bend that wire down. Do the exact same thing on the other side. Now we have what looks to be a straight line with a little square indent going down. Now flip that so it's a line but with a square going up, and moving just a tiny bit away from this square, we're gonna clamp our pliers down and then move up. Same thing on the other side. Then you're gonna want to clamp your pliers down right here and bend that way. Same thing on the other side. Your frames are fine just like this, but to save your fingers from a little bit of poking and also to make the glasses look a little more realistic, let's bend these corners down just a little bit. And there we go. Now we have some basic glasses frames. This is fully optional, but for the first step, I like to tape down my parchment paper so it doesn't move. You don't need to do that though. I've made successful pairs of glasses without doing that. This just makes it a little bit easier on yourself. Now, if your glasses frames aren't completely flat, like they've got some warping, try and get them as close as you can to flat. Now lay them down on top of the parchment paper. Next, we're gonna get out some Mod Podge, grab a small paintbrush, and just lob that on there. Make sure that your lenses aren't just like in the middle of the frame like this. You're gonna want them touching the frames a little bit so that when you lift them up, they don't just fall off of the frame. And it's even okay if you do a little this action. Like if it comes off of the frame a little bit, it'll be alright. Personally, when I make glasses, I like to make the frames a little bit taller than they need to be because it's easier to cut it off than to make a perfectly straight line to begin with. And now you let that dry for, however long Mod Podge dries. Let's take a trip to the bottle. How long does Mod Podge take to dry? Dry 15 to 20 minutes without coats. I'll see you in 15 to 20 minutes. Alright, so, it took a little bit more than 15 minutes. I slept all night, and here's what we got. So the next thing we're gonna want to do is take even more Mod Podge. Once we've got some more Mod Podge, we're going to take it, and we are going to cover both sides of the frame. So you might have to do a couple layers of this, but basically once this dries, if you feel like it's not thick enough, just keep adding more layers. You know, if it looks like too flimsy, keep adding more layers. And you can stop once you feel it's a good thickness. So now that we basically have our lenses, ignore the fact that mine aren't fully dry yet. I don't feel like waiting. We're going to cut off this excess at the top and then anything like around the frames that's kind of sticking out. Quick trigger warning here. I'm about to put a sharp object on the screen. If you don't want to see a sharp object, then please skip to this timestamp. You're just gonna want to get a straight line. This is a really dull X-Acto knife. Please be careful with dull knives and sharp knives, obviously. Be careful with all knives. Knives aren't safe. And here you go. This is basically what yours should look like after you trim them, except the lenses won't be white because they'll be dry. I'm just gonna use some acrylic paint. So we're gonna take a thin brush, dip it in, and just paint the frames. I mean, you don't need to just paint the frames. You can go absolutely crazy here. You can paint the lenses too. I don't care. After these glasses have been painted, we are going to put Mod Podge on that paint so it doesn't fall off. And for a little final touch before this Mod Podge fully dries, I'm going to put some tape on the... what is this? The brim of the glasses? The bridge? And this is where I really want to encourage creativity for you guys. Like, put some jewels on these. Put, like, whatever you want on these. There's really not too many limits with this as long as you can find, like, small things to add, you know? But for these glasses, I'm just putting on some tape as a little detail. Finally, here's what these glasses look like all done on a little pig. Look at these things. Now, let's move on to the sunglasses. Here's the supplies you'll need if you just want to make some basic glasses. Here's the supplies you'll need if you want to decorate those glasses. And here's the supplies you'll need if you want to make them wearable. More on these later. So this tutorial is a little tricky because if you're watching a tutorial on how to make glasses, you likely don't have that many pairs of your own, if any, but that's like the main required material. If it helps, you can also use a pair of doll sunglasses. It doesn't have to be LPS glasses. Anyways, we're gonna begin by taking some Play-Doh. Get yourself a good sized ball of this stuff, just roll it out and press it on a flat surface. You don't want it to be too thin. Then you're gonna take your pair of LPS glasses and press them into the Play-Doh to create a mold. If you are using a pair of glasses that are rounder like these, you're going to want to stretch them for this part so they're flat, but it should not cause any permanent damage to your glasses. Once you feel you have a solid mold, just take the glasses on out of there. And I can tell just by looking at this is a little too shallow. I ended up adding more Play-Doh. I'm just making an entirely new mold. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Pour your hot glue into the mold. And it's okay if it goes outside of the mold, but you want to make sure the whole mold is full. Then you're gonna need to wait a minute. You need to wait until your hot glue is completely dry. Your Play-Doh will not fully dry in this process. Don't worry about that. But just wait like 2 or 3 minutes for this. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to make a couple other pairs. Hey, full transparency here. The pair of glasses that you just saw me make are these. I pulled them out of the Play-Doh off camera. These have been sitting for about an hour, so a little bit more than like 3 minutes. But the Play-Doh is still very moldable. But anyways, what you do is you just pull this hot glue out of the Play-Doh like so. We're gonna do it with the other pair I made as well. Alright, so now we're gonna take our toothpicks and just clean up the little crevices because that is always a pain. I just cleaned off the glasses with some water in my fingernail, and that's gotten like almost all the Play-Doh off. Quick trigger warning, really quick. I'm about to put a sharp object on the screen. If you don't want to see a sharp object, then please skip to this timestamp. So now you're just gonna want to cut all of the edges off. You know how I said it's okay if the hot glue spills out over the mold a little bit? It's not okay anymore.
We're gonna cut that off.
I'm just gonna use some acrylic paint. After the acrylic paint dries, which mine hasn't yet, you're gonna want to cover it in Mod Podge. So here's what these pairs of glasses look like after they've been painted and Mod Podged. We're gonna use this lovely gal and these glasses as our example. So the method I'm going to use is blue tack. However, remember how I said we'll get back to this part later when I mentioned materials? Yeah, we're getting back to it now. There's a ton of ways you can make these wearable that I haven't tried yet, but would probably work. You could just use a straight piece of wire, just like these glasses, and put them behind these, if that makes any sense. You know, make these little legs. You could also try making this part of the glasses with hot glue. I've tried that a couple times and haven't had any success, but if you try this yourself, let me know and like tell me if it works. But for me, I'm doing glasses without those little parts and just putting them on with blue tack. So I take my blue tack and I put it right in the middle here. Then I'm going to take my pen and I'm just gonna press these right onto the face. And look at these. Look at these glasses. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And if this is your first video from me, consider subscribing. Let me know if you actually made a pair of these glasses for yourself. Remember that if you make a pair of these glasses, tag me in a picture. I would love to see. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye everybody!